This is going to be a different session. It's going to be a little bit more laid back. There's going to be more thought and discussion here. I've got a handful of tips and tricks that we can discuss, but for the most part, the goal, the takeaway in this session from my standpoint is for you to just listen, think through it, and how experience and professionalism would interact in your business. I have some specific thoughts on this, simply because we survey a lot of businesses on an annual basis. We're seeing common themes in the industry right now. We want to relate those back to you guys. Fortunately, I live in this market, and I fundamentally understand what it takes to operate in this market. In Destin, Miramar Beach, Panama City, Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, Fort Morgan, Navarre, Pensacola Beach. So a lot of that has guided me in some of my thoughts and comments today. My name's Ben Edwards, and before I introduce myself, I want to stop and thank you. I made this comment last night. A lot of us are really busy working in our businesses, and it's difficult at times to take a step back and kind of work on our business. So thank you for being here. Stop me at any point in time and ask me a question. It's pretty laid back. I'm informal, so we can get those questions asked. And if there's an opportunity to rate the session, please let Amy or the folks know whether you liked it or not, because I like doing this. So let's get started. I've been in the vacation rental industry for 20 years, and I don't feel like it, but 20 years is a long time. I started out as a kid out of college doing federal tax returns for Resort Quest in their corporate office in Memphis, and about 5 years later, I'd visited all but one or two of their locations, performing internal audits, operational audits, running their businesses, opening businesses, you name it, we did it. Since that time, in early 2000, I've owned and operated 13 of my own businesses. We're involved in a few different operations right now throughout the U.S., particularly in South Texas and in California. And then locally here, we have about 400 long-term rentals that we manage. Since starting, I've operated more than 200 different resort locations. That's not me flying into an airport in that location. That's me spending a few days to a week to a few months in that location. We've operated businesses that are as large as 2,400 properties. That's given us a great macro view of the industry, but also we run smaller businesses and help smaller businesses and have a bit of a micro view as well. We've been involved in more than 100 purchase and sale transactions. I've been on the VRMA board. Sanctuary Vacation Rentals is our business in Monterey, California. Cinnamon Shore Rentals is our business in Port Aransas, and of course I'm the owner manager of Weatherby Consulting. So let's get started here. From an agenda standpoint, we're gonna keep it pretty high level. We're gonna talk about the current environment and really the state of the industry as it relates to experience and professionalism. Okay, we're gonna take a different take on this today. We're gonna talk about experience as it relates to you as an operator, vacation rental manager, the business as a whole, and our supplier partners. Okay, we're gonna talk about professionalism. We're going to talk about the problem with professionalism, the need for professionalism, and the result of being professional, okay? And then we're going to talk about the all-encompassing question, why that's important. All right, thanks for bearing with me. So right now, I think we'd all agree that the industry is moving at its fastest pace ever. I think every year I stand up and say, the industry's moving at its fastest pace ever. It's because it is, right? I mean, compared to where the business was 20 years ago, I mean, we're light years ahead of that. Cash flow right now is at an all-time high, okay? Our economy is fantastic. We have a Dow that's broke 29,000. We have the longest running bull market that we've ever had, over 10 years. With that, we've seen a lot of consolidation, both in the VRM space and the vendor space, right? As a result, we're seeing even more and more changes in the business, particularly as it relates to new entrants, or maybe there's changes with us legacy operators that we need to be mindful of. And we're going to talk about how that affects how experience and professionalism relates to new entrants and legacy operators. We're going to talk about some of these new products and services and the changes that we're seeing there. Every day, you're presented with a new, bright, shiny object that you can have for just another $5 per property. Well, guess what? I'm an accountant, and I get that, you boil that down to $5 because, it's only $5. I can get my head around that, right? But I've got 100 properties. That's $500 a month or $6,000 a year. Nobody comes up to you and says, hey, I want to say this for $6,000. They boil it down into $5 a property, right? It's like the commercials on TV for $1 a day, right? Well, that's $365 that's getting taken out of your business. It doesn't go in your back pocket. We're also going to talk about the lack of flexibility as it relates to change in our business. We're notorious for not changing when we need to, but more recently, we're seeing across a number of different businesses that it's almost a pride thing. Right? It's not the fact that I refuse to I've got data leading me a different direction. It's like, we're throwing our hands up saying, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to change. I don't want to do this. I want to stay here. I want to do that. So let's talk about experience as it relates to us as operators, okay? We know experience as practical contact. It's observation of facts and events, right? That's how we get experience. I've got 20 years of experience in the vacation rental industry. I'm not smart by any means, but I've seen stuff done for a long time, and so I've garnered some experience, right? So that's how I look at things. I've had good experience and I've had a bad experience, and you guys have too. And in a lot of cases, the bad experience has helped me more, when I've been faced with decisions. I have a better understanding of which direction to go through some of those bad experiences. I learned in a lot of cases as a kid at Resort Quest, I learned what not to do, right? Right? You don't buy a 30-year-old vacation rental company and the next day change the name to Resort Quest, back in 2000. You want to run a bunch of owners off? Do that. Try to push new rental management contracts across. Do some things like that, and you can kill a business pretty quickly. Our problem right now is that we have too much experience. Find me a vacation rental manager that can't tell you everything you need to know about everything, right? We got it all figured out. We know it all. We got this attitude, right? Because, it's just vacation rentals. It's easy, right? That's how we operate in its current form, and that's what we're seeing because, we've had a couple of good years, guys. We've had some free cash flow, and look at my business. I'm doing okay, right? If you're not doing good in this market, something's bad wrong, right? Because there's so much free cash flow, people are taking vacations. That's what happens. We're going to talk about experience a little bit in the next couple of slides, but the fundamental need for new experience in this business, okay? We need new experience. We need to get out of this old rut and start doing things differently. We need experience that really allows for growth and increased service, right? And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. I'll tell you the why about that moving forward. As we run around and we look at businesses and we talk to people, we get pulled in. We don't get pulled in when things are going great, right? Nobody says, hey, come enjoy the success with us, man. I want to pay you, a couple $100 an hour to come hang out with us. No, hey, I want to pay you some money because I need you to fix a problem that I have. We're about to bleed out on the operating table. We've got a problem. We need help. And it's because we have a lack of business experience. So what's important about that? Well, good experience is it allows you to make good business decisions. And the reason for that is because you're objective. You survey the business for what it is. You use facts and data in which to make decisions. Experienced businesses equal sustainability, right? Brian, you guys wouldn't have been able to persevere and navigate the 30A marketplace if you hadn't been experienced, had you not thought about the business in an objective manner, you allowed, if you allowed your emotion to make decisions, you'd be out of business, right? Use facts and data to make decisions. So we should all really focus on sustainable operations, right? That's the name of the game, right? You can start a business. I'm confident that anybody can start a vacation rental business nowadays, right? Based upon what we've seen. But not everybody can have a sustainable vacation rental operation. And the reason for that is because a lot of us fail to make a meaningful profit. Think about that for a second. There's people in this room that are not making money. There's people in this room who don't have fully funded trust accounts. There's people in this room that have, almost zero cash right now. And they're doing everything they can to book reservations in order to get to March, right? We have a refusal to run the business like a business. We just won't do it. I don't know what's pulling on us to do it, but we see these businesses across the nation refuse to run their business like a business. In the past month, I've had 2 businesses, and I guess over the past 2.5, 3 months, I've had 3 businesses call me. Out of cash, hadn't paid owners, no hope for paying anybody, anyone, anything. They call us to try to help them land the plane, not crash land it. But we've had 3 businesses in the past 3 months call because they needed help. I mean, you've got to be doing something seriously wrong if you can't manage a business with this much cash flow in our country right now. Everybody's taking vacations, right? Everybody's got more free cash flow. So as it relates to, to expand upon your business, as it relates to making a profit, top-tier operators generate a 10% profit margin. If you are not generating a 10% profit margin in your business, you need help, okay? The way we get that is we take the adjusted earnings in your business. We're taking, when I say adjusted EBITDA, don't get focused. Don't check out because you think we're going to talk accounting, okay? We're a bunch of operators. We're great at operating, but as soon as somebody brings up accounting, you all get narcolepsy, right? We're talking about adjusted EBITDA, and what we're talking about is revenues minus cash expenses, right? I don't care about your depreciation, amortization, all that kind of stuff. I don't care about, your trip to the Caribbean, your trip to Italy, our trip to California for Christmas, my wife's car that may run through the business, the country club dues, the private school education. Take all that stuff out of the business, right? Bolster your bottom line, take that number and divide it by gross rental revenue and get your margin. In California, we have a very structured, it's a small business. It's not a traditional vacation rental destination. So we have, for 2019, we had about 95 properties. And we did right at like $5.8 million gross. But we brought in about $675,000 net, right? So that's a good margin. We're in the range we should be. If we cut back on some of our employee dinners and if I would fly coach out to California, we could probably pull some of that back and make more money. But we've made certain business decisions that we think we're okay with. We need to be focused in on this as an industry, and we're simply not. The way you get to this point is you start driving your business, right? Use this conference, right, as a point to get re-energized about your business. Start driving your business and establish a plan. We're still in January, still in the beginning of the year, right? Establish a plan for your business. Calculate your profit margin. You're going to figure out that you're at 4%, and you're going to say, man, how do I get to 6? So let's start with a plan. Let's pull our team in. How do we get there? We'll start with a budget and end up planning your work for 2020 and then working that plan. A lot of us right now are riding the wave. Things are okay. You can say, well, Ben, it's okay. I'm making some good money right now. Well, you're riding a wave right now, but later this year, early next year, whatever it may be, you may get crushed by that wave. Right? Things are good right now. Now's the time to make some of these decisions. Right? If your trust account isn't fully funded, get that thing funded. Don't be one of those companies when you get over into August and you're like, how am I going to pay these owners? Right? And it may not be August. It may be April. You may have a bunch of reservations come through for March, through spring break, and not be able to pay those. Get that stuff tied down now. Take care of your business now when we have this free cash flow in the business. Otherwise, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get more difficult, right? Because we're going to see the monetary supply start to shrink a little bit, right? I don't want to get into politics, but if somebody who hates Wall Street and loves regulation gets elected, we're going to see taxes go up, we're going to see the stock market go down, and you're going to see this free cash flow dry up, right? I don't care about your political affiliation. I'm just telling you, you need to be cognizant of that as you run your business because you're responsible for your business. You're responsible for your employees, your homeowners, these guests that have placed deposits with you. You have to run your business like a business. So in this industry that's getting, the spotlight, I mean, we're under a microscope right now. We have lights all around the vacation rental industry, neon lights, strobe lights, crystal balls, disco balls, not crystal balls, right? All around the vacation rental industry. This is the place to be, right? We've got all kinds of people converging on the industry right now. We've got partners, right, that want to sell you something, be a part of your company. As it relates to experience, what I'm trying to tell you is surround you and your team by experienced partners, right? People that you can trust. These are free consultants in your business, right? And there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of supplier partners out there that are fantastic, and they will help you build your business. But on the other end, we get caught up because the business is growing. There's a lot of, again, free cash flow. People are entering the space, and they've come up with something that you have to have, right? You got to have it, right? You're going to go out of business if you don't buy this product for $5 a property a month. If you don't put your listings on my website, if you don't engage in my revenue management service, right? I'm not a data scientist, but I'm confident that I can manage my yield better than other people in certain levels. And in other cases, I'm not going to pay that amount of money to raise and lower my rates. If I'm going to pay $100,000 a year to do that, you know what I'll do with that $100,000? I'll go put it into other marketing initiatives that I know that'll drive more people into the funnel. I'll take my sub-tier revenue management skills against the money I saved and put it in there. Now, I'm not saying go out there and, let's kick the revenue management people in the shins. I'm just saying before you pay an obscene amount of money to do some of this stuff, think through it. Have a plan for it, right? We have clients that have paid over $200,000 a year for revenue management. We have clients that call us and say, hey, do you think I should pay $70 a property a month? And I get on the phone and I act as a liaison for some of these people. I don't even understand what these guys are proposing, right? And then we get off the phone and I'm talking to a client and they're like, this guy sounds really good. Well, yeah, he sounds good. But I've never heard of anybody he's worked with, right? And he's got, everything's rainbows and unicorns. There's, I don't understand it, right? So why don't, before you invest this money, why don't you take a step back? We have a weekly call in both of our businesses where we monitor pace, right? Let's just start at a macro level. We monitor pace as compared to prior year. And what we booked the same week last year. And if we're ahead, life's good. If July is pacing above prior year, you know what? We just implemented a 6-night minimum from our 5-night minimum. And what's happened over the past 2 weeks is we've had our 2 highest booking weeks ever. Nearly $400,000 each week. Right? I'm not a data scientist, but we perform this review each week. We're looking at it each week, and maybe we're not getting every ounce of revenue management out of that process. But I'm also not paying $100,000 a year, right? Distribution. I recently reviewed an income statement of a company. And it's a smaller company, and super nice lady, just a really kind person. You can understand why she didn't have 50 homeowners, she has 50 family members, right? That's how she takes care of her business. But I was going down through her P&L, and I noticed that she paid $12,000 for distribution. And it wasn't VRBO. I mean, I get 30% of my business from VRBO. I mean, that's a deal I'll do all day long. Right? But this is some nuanced distribution channel that, a third of you might have heard of, right? There's no way that she's going to book $60,000 worth of business to even break even on that purchase. But she got sold, right? And a lot of us are getting sold. We're paying for stuff because we're not focused in on the ROI. In certain cases, certain web services, Steve mentioned it earlier, there's some stuff that you guys can do in-house. You don't have to pay somebody $1,000 a month to do 2 Facebook posts, right? You don't have to be Mensa smart to do that. Just find a 15-year-old, they'll do it, right? I think we need to consider the product or service that we're being that's being propositioned to us. In a lot of cases, and I think this is really interesting. This is me putting the consulting hat on, but it's not really it's not an intelligent thought. But think about all the services you've bought in your business. You purchased ancillary service, and think of the duplicity in your business. So you bought X, but your property management system does it. Right? It may not look as cool as what you just bought, but it works, right? Do you really need to pay an extra $12,000 a year to have a different screen? I mean, that's really what we're talking about in a lot of cases. If you want to make more margin in your business over the lifetime of your business, think about some of that. We fundamentally, as vacation rental managers, are not experienced enough to sit back and say, there's a return on investment. Everybody in here is somewhere in and around 20% commission, right? That means when you invest $1, you got to get $5 back, right? Right? Everybody please nod your heads, right? If you're not, you're losing money. You're losing money. When you invest $1, you got to get $5 back, right? Because 20% of $5 is $1, okay? And we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're spending a bunch of money. I remember as a kid being down in South Florida and building a marketing plan for Resort Quest Southwest Florida, and one of the folks that we were involved with kept saying, well, we need to geo-target Ohio much more so. And I said, well, why is that? I mean, where's the data? Tell me why we need to take a material amount of money out of our customary, our budget, that we've done, year after year after year, and move it to these locations in Ohio? And he said, well, I've seen a few Ohio license plates around here this year, and I think that's what we ought to do. Like, there's no way we would ever get an ROI on that. And this guy was serious. I mean, this guy had been in the business longer than I had. I mean, super sharp guy, but that's the kind of stuff that we do. Somebody picks up the phone and says, hey, you need to spend, I can put all your properties on this website for $12,000. And you guys are like nodding your head over the phone. Oh, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. We're going to make $1 million. You'll never come out on some of that stuff. Think about how you position your business in a manner that you win. You want a win-win relationship, right? You want these people to make money. You just don't want them to make all their money off of you, right? So think about how that works, and think about how you get an ROI on everything you do. And I'm not talking about just marketing. I'm talking about employees, the whole 9 yards. So let's talk. We're going to dive into professionalism a little bit. And we've heard a number of great examples about professionalism. Tiffany did a session earlier today where we talked about all these issues on Holiday Isle, right? And that's precipitating the city council to take up onerous legislation that adversely affects our business, because they have to, because we're not professional enough to figure out how to deal with 9 cars, in a 4-spot parking space, right? You think Parker Destin, whose family makes their money at restaurants, that we rent the houses, our guests go to his restaurants, that's how he feeds his family. Do you think he wants to restrict vacation rentals? No, I don't think he does. I think he was pretty clear about that today. But we're forcing him to make a decision because we can't figure out our trash, we can't figure out our parking, we can't figure out how to keep people from having crazy parties at some of these properties, right? So we need to be more professional. And we also need to recognize that the best businesses in the industry don't talk smack about one another. When I got out to California, and then look, this is an example on the far end of the spectrum. I've got a partner who's a fantastic lady, and really is a mentor of mine. Although she's been in the industry less years than I have, and she just really services our clients and really has the best interests of our business at heart. We got a call from a home that overlooks the ocean in Pacific Grove, and that's it's a $200,000 home. And there's not a lot of $200,000 homes out there. Great home. Owner calls us and says, hey, I want to meet with you. I want to come onto your program. And so I was sitting there with her, and I was pumped. And she said, well, we're going to need to talk about this first. I said, what do you mean we need to talk about it? Let's get this meeting lined up. Let's get going, right? I'm here to make money. She says, well, that homeowner is on Jan Leisure's program, and that's Monterey Bay Rentals, and I need to reach out to Jan before we contact this owner back. And I'm like, don't I feel like the biggest jerk in the world, right? So she calls Jan and says, Jan, I want to let you know that we didn't solicit this homeowner. We didn't target them. They called us. And you know what Jan said? Jan said, well, Annie, if they're not happy with our program, I couldn't think of a better program for them to go to. I want them to be happy. If there's anything I can do, answer any questions, let me know. But please feel free to meet with that owner. We ended up getting the owner on our program. But think about that process, right? That hadn't happened here in 20 years. That doesn't happen, right? We're playing a short game in this marketplace, right? Playing the short game, not playing the long game. We're too busy with gimmicks and tricks, and we're just trying to get the property on the program, right? We're all about overpromise today and underdeliver tomorrow, right? That's what's happening in this marketplace. And I'm not singling anybody out, and I'm not looking at the entire crowd, but I'm telling you, when we look at businesses in this marketplace, That's what's happening. It's a deal a day. We're not delivering on the revenue or the service that we promised, right? You want to know how I know that? Because we've got owners that are like, what's that game that we had when we were kids? Frogger, because they're just jumping all over the place, right? They're jumping all over the place because you're not doing what you said you were going to do. And you know what you do when what's happening when you do that? We're creating terrible owners, right? Not only are we terrible competition, but we're creating the world's worst owner, right? Because I told them they were going to make $60,000 gross, and I didn't come anywhere near $60,000 gross. So they leave me at the end of the first year. They leave me in September. They come to your program, Richard, and well, you guys are going to shoot them straight. You're going to tell them they make 40, right? I got to pick on somebody else. But somebody else tells them they're going to make 60, right? And so what we've done is we've created this owner that really can't be happy. And now listen, I'm not saying all owners are perfect. I mean, there's some terrible owners out there, right? They're really difficult expectations, etc. But I'm saying that in a lot of cases we've had a hand in creating that person, that owner. At the end of the day, the problem revolves around this. We're too focused in on what fee can I add today. Look, I'm all about fees. You got to monetize your business. You got to charge these fees in order to make money in your business and get to that 10% profit margin. But you got to do it and be more than a booking agent. A lot of us in here right now are just booking agents, okay? We're not actually providing a service, right? Think about this for a second. Booking comes in on Airbnb. You might get some check-in materials. You go straight to the property, right? You check in with a key code lock. Guest stays for 3 or 4 days. They check out. They don't even know who you are. I mean, that's happening in a lot of cases. And there's certain people in the industry that are saying, well, that's efficient, right? You need to do that, right? That's efficient. We need to do more of that. I'm here to tell you, I'm not saying you got to check everybody into your office, but at least be more than a booking agent. Provide some service. Call these people the day after check-in and say, Bob, I want to make sure you and your family got checked in okay. Is there anything we can do to make your stay more enjoyable? Hey, by the way, our favorite oyster bar is this, or we're going to send you an email with some things to do. If there's anything you need, I mean, whatever it may be, right? But we're not doing that in a lot of cases. We need to be more professional. The best businesses in the industry are professional businesses. We need to be better competitors with one another. And I know this sounds like an after-school special, and this may not move the needle, but I'm here to tell you that the community owners and guests realize if you're a good competitor or a bad competitor. I get into some of these markets sometimes, or I talk to these people, and somebody needs some help, and I said, well, how's your market position? How are things with your business as it relates to the market, your competitive set? Oh, my competitors hate me. They hate me. Like, well, why is that? Well, I just do things differently. What that means is you're the guy that targets all the homeowners. You're the person that makes life difficult. You can't focus in on the market and be a good competitor. We need to be more proactive and more service-centric, right? Because, this good competitor mantra means that we're more market-centric. Like when that person from Airbnb checks in and they have a terrible time, a couple of things are going to happen. They're either going to kick you in the shins on the Google machine or TripAdvisor or whatever it may be, or they're going to say, I had a terrible time in Panama City. Don't go here. Don't go here, right? Good competitors think about the market as a whole. We need to fundamentally recognize that negative reviews are actually hurting us, right? I know we want to puff our chest out and say, they're trying to rip us off for $100. Well, guess what? Maybe they are. And how much would you pay not to have a bad review? I'd pay more than $100. I go back and forth with that. A few years ago, we just made the decision. My general manager in California said, well, this guy's just ripping us off. I mean, this is not true. And it's going to cost us $500. I'm like, give him back his money. What do you care? I mean, he's threatening some terrible review because something that never happened, that we had nothing to do with, just give him the money. We can't do that though, right? Because we're vacation rental managers. We're going to stand up. We're actually going to get $100 of that $500, right? And you could quite possibly allow a negative review to hit your company for your commission of $100. Think about that, right? We need to take a more service-oriented approach. You're going to hear this service. Think about being professional, servicing your client. Actually, doing what we used to do in the business. We used to provide a lot of service, and people came back to our company. We had a high repeat guest ratio because we got to know our guests. We know our owners, right? If we can't get serious about the business, then maybe it's time to get out, right? And this is not being, and this isn't tough love. This is me just saying, hey, bear with me for a second. A lot of free cash flow right now. If you're not making it in the business right now, then something bad wrong. If you're kind of teetering, you're kind of floating through the business and life is okay, you might consider getting out of the business because life is never going to get any better than it is right now. I mean, it's the truth. Just close that China trade deal. Money's going through the roof. Everybody's got free cash flow. We've got tax cuts. We've got all this stuff going, right? More money. Think about this. More money than we've ever seen in the economy. There's never been more money than in the economy right now. What happens when you think that starts to contract a little bit? You think your business is going to go up? You think people are going to take more vacations? Maybe you ought to get out right now. If you are sitting here today and said, okay, I get it. Maybe I should quit sending those nasty postcards to try to get more homeowners, or maybe I should be a little softer when owners ask me about so-and-so's program. You can say, well, they've got a great rental management program. I just think mine's better. I think we do a better job than they do, but they're good people. We like them over there, right? Here's the result of being professional. You're going to have strong, long-standing relationships with homeowners, right? Your business is going to be more consistent if you're professional. If you think about things in a more professional fashion, you operate in a more professional manner, you're going to be more effective. You're going to be sustainable. You're going to have a going concern. You're going to be in business today, tomorrow, and 10 years from now. You're definitely going to be more profitable, right? If you plan your work and work your plan, you are going to be more profitable. And profit's the name of the game, right? You know how difficult it is? We sell a lot of businesses, and people that I know and I love say, Ben, I'm ready to call it quits. I'm tired. I've been doing this for 30 years. And I look at their income statement, and I'm just scratching my head, and I'm saying, you made $200,000 last year? You've worked 30 years to sell your business for somewhere between $800,000 and $1 million. I mean, that's tough, right? But think about it. If 30 years ago, they'd monetize their business a little bit differently, set up their business differently, brought 10% to the bottom line, and their business was $500,000 net, like not a huge increase, right? It's only $300,000 more. It's not a huge increase. Think about this. 30 years at $100,000 or $200,000 is $3 million to $6 million, right? At $500,000 $100,000. That's a lot of money over 30 years, over 10 years, 15 years, whatever it may be. And then when you sell the business, you're looking at $2 to $2.5 million in a sales price. You've made a lot of money. You know, all this time, effort, and energy you put into the business has been worth something, right? As you make more money, you've got the flexibility to further shore up your business or grow it, right? You can even further monetize it. You can build a laundry, right? You know, I pay $1.35 a pound in California because we've got a water shortage. I pay 90 cents a pound in Texas, and we're going to build a laundry because we can do it exponentially cheaper. And we're building towards that, right? If this is not what you want to do, now's a great time to exit, right? Now's a good time to change gears, go a different direction, cash out. At the end of the day, by being professional, you've created a business that people actually want to use, want to be a part of. I get people that call and say, hey, Ben, losing some properties. I need you to help us develop a solicitation schedule, right? You know, we need to get serious about soliciting homeowners. And as I start to peel a couple layers of the onion back, I'm like looking at their business. I'm like, well, who would want to be on this program, right? Not a lot of service, really not easy to deal with. They want, you know, a long-term contract, whatever it may be, whatever the issue is. How about instead of like spending more money on postcards, right? Why don't you dial back and create a business that people actually want to use? What do owners care about in your market? How about provide that, right? Right? That might be more beneficial. So we're nearing, we've got a couple minutes left. We've got a couple top takeaways, right? We're going to run through this. Look, I think we can all be more progressive right now, right? We're kind of fat and happy. I think there's segments of the business that we can sharpen up and we can make some more money in. No doubt about it. We need to use the experience in our markets, in our competitive set, our supplier vendors to garner a higher return on investment for every dollar that we invest, okay? We need to quit being so emotional in the business. We need to be more objective. We need to rely on facts and data. I mean, you know, think about the data that was provided here today at this conference. Think about all the great information we have access to. Why not use it, right? That's a novel idea, right? Be a professional. Be proud of your business, right? I've heard, you know, Amy brought up earlier today, Wyndham and Vacasa and, you know, all of these big people that we have to compete with now. Well, guess what? We compete with them all day long. The technology in this industry gives me every opportunity to compete with those guys on a lower level. You know, and guess what? I can service the homeowner better than they can. I'm not going to beat them up. I'm not going to say they're terrible or whatever it may be. But when they go out and they try to sell to one of my homeowners, I can honestly say we've got every bit of technology that they have. In certain cases, though, we choose to use people, right? Because we think that's a better experience, right? We have people check these guests in. I know you can do it, you know, and you can have some robot or Ring doorbell or whatever it may be do it. But, you know, we don't think that's good for the long-term revenue of your property, right? Think about that. Be more than a booking agent. Oh, I'm out of time. I'll hurry. Be more than a booking agent. Start delivering some service. When I went out to meet my future partner in California, I checked in, there was a bottle of red, there was a bottle of white, there's some nice goat cheese, fresh berries, crackers, nuts. There were chocolate chip cookies in a mason jar. There was some popcorn. There were K-cups for my Keurig coffee maker. And when I got to the office the next morning, I was like, you know what? You guys didn't need to do this for me, right? I'm special, but I'm not that special, right? And she said, oh, well, we do that for everybody. I'm like, oh, okay. Some service, right? Actually providing service. Who looks like a goofball now? Develop a plan, work your plan. We need 10%. And if you're not up to the task, make some changes or get out of the business, because it's not going to get any easier than it is right now. So lastly, we got some Q&A that we have no time for. My name's Ben Edwards. I appreciate it. Nobody fell asleep. I think today was a good day. All right. Thanks so much. Take care.